Welcome to Theory of Paranormal. This is your co-host, Pax, with the other co-host, Dalton. This is going to be Season 3, podcast episode number 2. And it's going to be on haunted houses. So when I say haunted houses, what comes to everybody's mind? I know for myself, when I think of a haunted house, I think of something being there that is unexpected, or maybe something that has a history at a location, or unfortunately, there's some things that happen at a home that is more or less not a positive story. So the reason why we decided to do this particular podcast on haunted houses is because as of late, there's been a lot of stories coming up here and there all throughout America about people moving into homes and they appear to be haunted with different things happening. And so it got me thinking, how would me and Dalton react and deal with moving into a haunted home? So with that being said, how are you doing today, Dalton?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good myself. I know I threw this thought about this particular podcast to you, and I know you had a few thoughts about it. What's your 2 cents on haunted houses in general?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's not much to say about it because we do investigations. That's why we investigate, because these places are haunted now. As far as us moving in, you go get a place or I go get a place and I move in and it's haunted. I've said it before. I probably tip the realtor. I'm thanking him for giving me a haunted house to live in. 'Cause you can't get no better than that. I don't have to go investigate other people's houses. I can just investigate my own. But I mean, we've kind of hinted on stuff like this before, that most every place has some kind of activity, because you don't know. Back in the day, they were pretty good about realtors and stuff were pretty good about telling you that somebody had passed in the home, because I believe that's a law. They have to tell you that somebody died in the house.
Okay.
But of recent, because some people, I guess because it's a hard sell. If you tell them somebody passed in the house, then, it's, I can see where it could be a hard sell. There is some people I know personally that when the realtor mentioned somebody, and actually they had to bring it up to the realtor, actually, because now that I remember, the neighbor, like, they went to go look at the house without the realtor. Like, she brought her husband back or the family back so they can look at the house. And the neighbor come introduce themselves and, let it slip that, oh, the owner passed away in the house. That's why it's up for sale. And then, they went back to the realtor and was like, is this true? Because neighbor's saying owner passed away. And then the realtor, was like caught in a corner basically and had to tell him yes, and they moved in anyway. And they have light activity, very light activity. It's mainly the old man that used to live there. He loves the family, loves the kids, loves the dog. Doesn't bother him too much. Just every now and then he gets a little restless and some things happen. But yeah, all places have some kind of energy, and energy ain't always, like we said before. Energy doesn't always mean a spirit. Energy could just be energy. And like we talked about before, doesn't necessarily have to be the house or the people in it. Could be the land it was built on, right?
True. I mean, you know, as we've always discussed thoroughly in previous podcasts, energy could be associated to items brought into the house. It could be, the land itself. It could be a person coming into the home. Different things could bring or invite things to the homestead for things to happen. There was a notable story that was pretty popular as of late in the news about somebody buying a particular home that had a bunch of things in it that were supposedly haunted. And it 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 got me thinking to myself, imagining me buying a home unbeknownst to myself that there being activity there and just moving in and then things start happening, here or there. And I will say it's one thing as a professional paranormal investigator to go out and try to help families, help people, individuals, you know, get clarity and closure and remedy to whatever it is they may be experiencing of the paranormal nature. But, when you come home, that's your home base. That's your place. You like to think and know that quote unquote it's a safe space or a uninfected, unaltered location where you can be. Now, as me and Dalton know, life is never that simple. Sometimes things may come home with you. Sometimes things may be introduced to your local environment. But ultimately, I was thinking, how would it really be though if I bought a home and moved in and then things started happening? And how I would go about that? And then I thought about the average American of being a homeowner with their family and then having things happen, how they realistically would respond to the situation and react and what a person would do. Because as we all know, you either rent or you buy, or if you're lucky enough, sometimes you can stay at a place where you don't have to pay a rent or mortgage. But normally somebody somehow is financially indebted to wherever you're living. And so then that gives constraints and ties you down to that location. And then I can only imagine what it would be like to have activity at the home and how that would affect the people you may or may not live with. And then from that point, for lack of a better analogy, the shoe is on the other foot, per se. And what me and Dalton do to help people becomes our personal life. And I think ultimately for myself, I would try to understand what is going on and why. Not from a parapsychology, paranormal thought process of wanting to have an answer, but more from a logical sense, here and now, grounded reality answer. Because I would want to know what spawned everything to happen. I'd be curious maybe if there was activity previously, but let's say hypothetically it's a brand new built home. Okay, so
Well, you could
what's the
have
story past
a
then?
brand new built home if it's built on a certain piece of property, or if there was an existing building there. Like, sometimes there's a building that was already there. They tear it down and they build homes. They might build 20 houses there. Could have been an old factory, an old warehouse, could have been an old school that just ain't around no more, and it became vacant, and they tore that stuff down and built houses on that property. So they could be a brand new house, but if you build it on a piece of property that's got energy, well, it's only going to be a matter of time before it enters the house.
Yep.
It's just a well known fact.
Yep.
So they got. I've heard stories of people moving into a house. The worst thing you can do is when you see a house that's fully furnished.
Mhm.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
You can have all that furniture.
And
Take all that with you.
some people do that, especially unfortunately if somebody passed away. I know for a fact, sometimes when people pass away or they move on or whatever the case may be, where the family members don't want anything from the house, sometimes besides it being kind of fixed up here or there, they will list the house exactly as is with contents and put it for sale.
Yeah.
And that is literally a condition of it, of the purchase. It's like when you want the house, you get everything in here and then you do whatever you want with it. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but you see all those movies of a family moving into a home, and it's usually older Victorian style type home, 2, 3 stories. And then they go up in the attic, and then they find all the old boxes of the people that originally lived there in the family, and maybe some spooky stuff happens. But it's a cliche, but it really does happen though. I was just
Well, it does,
reading.
and that's the hook. That's
Mhm.
the hook, though. They use the old looking houses. I mean, you know what I want to see? A movie where they move into a modern house, a regular house, not an old Victorian house, not an old 1800 Western style house or whatever. I want to see a legitimate home, regular house in a regular neighborhood. Somebody just moved in because there's tons of stories of just regular homes, where people moved in. That instance I'm telling you is a story that these people bought this house fully furnished, and later they found out after seeing apparitions and stuff like that around the house after living there for a few months, they learned that the people that lived there died there. Well, we've already said when people pass away, they're going to come back to wherever they're most happiest. If you didn't touch that house and you got all the furniture in the same place, it's like they never left.
Right.
That energy is going to build fast. Like they're going to be able to do things very quickly, like move stuff or do whatever. And then the wife was saying every time they painted a wall or made an adjustment in the house, stuff would happen. If they just left it alone, house was quiet.
Hmm.
So it does happen, and that's why I said no. If it was a stipulation, you got to buy this house with everything in it, I'd be like, yep, well, somebody else can buy it, not me. Because I mean, as much as I say, yeah, I'll tip the realtor for selling me a haunted house, but in reality, dude, I live in haunted in haunted houses. I got stuff that follows me around, and I know for a fact, living in my old house that my family grew, where my kids grew up and stuff, and we were there, I don't know, for a long time. You know what I'm talking about. And
Yep.
you could sit there and literally watch. My ex had a spider plant sitting on the dresser, and you can literally watch like somebody's pulling one end of that spider plant off the dresser,
Hmm.
like it in broad daylight. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll look over and see that spider plant being drug off the. Now it's not because it was hanging too far over. No, it wasn't moving at all. And all of a sudden, it's like somebody reached up and grabbed the end of it and started pulling it off the dresser. And of course, me, I'm like, whatever, dude. Have fun with it. Hope you pull the thing off, whatever. I don't care. It lands on you. Doesn't matter. Okay. I've lived in, I still live to this day. I live in activity, activities all around us. So it's, you got to be careful. I mean, I'll tell you something too. I think I got it posted on the Facebook Theory Paranormal Facebook page. By the way, everybody go check out Theory Paranormal Facebook page. There's a lot of evidence on there. But I think I have, believe it or not, when I was looking back, what was it, 4 years ago or so, when I was looking for a place to rent, I was scrolling through Zillow. Everybody knows what Zillow is. It's a rental. It's a guide to find rental properties or properties for sale. And I seen this one property. It was on some land about, I don't know, 2, 3 acres, 4 acres, or something like that. Ranch style house, 2-car garage. Now I'm looking at this on Zillow, and I see a smudge, two smudges in front of the house because the Zillow people or whoever, they come out and take photos of the place, and then you're looking through the photos of the inside, the outside, whatever. I get to the outside, the front of the house in the daytime. I see these two smudges, and I'm thinking, okay, first I'm going to camera flare, whatever, blah blah blah. Long story short, I decide to retake the picture myself on my phone, blow it up, retake it again, blow it up, retake it again, like we do. And lo and behold, man, those were two creepy looking faces in front of that house.
Hmm.
And I posted it and I was like, yeah, that place is haunted. I mean, that's a real, like, that place is really haunted. If somebody just walked by to take a photo for an advertisement and those two faces popped up, one of them looked like he had makeup, like a clown on or something, and the other one looked really just creepy, man. Like I would love to go investigate the place to find out why it is that those two faces popped up. But that also leads me into saying, when you're when you're moving in, and a lot of people don't realize it when they're taking photos or taking video of themselves moving into a new place, that they actually caught evidence, and they don't realize it until way, way down the road. They might be flipping through some photos. Oh yeah, this was a place we used to live. It was, oh, look at, whoa, what's that? Where'd that kid come from? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
I can definitely attest to that. Having a specialized background in a variety of things, doing evidence review. It's amazing how much is there that the average person reviewing something just gleams by something and doesn't even realize it. I mean, just by, like you said, scrolling in or magnifying a photo deeper and then seeing something more clearly and legibly compared to if the photo was just zoomed out with a normal magnification and it just looked like a smudge, or hearing things, you know, audio, hearing audio and you hear like a weird noise and you don't think anything of it. And you just keep listening for the audio to hear if you can hear any words. But the reality is you go back to that weird noise, you slow it down. Next thing you know, it's actually a few words put together, you know? And I think ultimately a lot of people that do live with haunted homes, it's one of two distinct wheelhouses. It's either the I'm going to ignore it and I don't care, or I never thought about it, or it's going to be what the heck? I hear it again. I'm documenting this. I'm trying to make this make sense. I want to figure out the history, or the family knows, where it's an active item to where it's not just whatever. The people that I have known that I've had relationships with, friends and whatnot, outside of individuals knowing me of this hobby slash profession that I am, being with the paranormal, when people would randomly tell me things, it was always like, oh, yeah, that's Gary. He's here with us. Oh, he'll do this. He'll knock, or, I'll hear footsteps, or, I'll see a shadow sometimes, same time of the afternoon by the window. And majority of the time, the people that would be talking about these items and episodes, it was very nonchalant. It was like talking like the neighborhood cat just came strolling through, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, saw the cat over there by the car. It wasn't a big deal. My point is that these individuals rationalized paranormal activity and phenomenon to a point to where it made sense in their brain. And because of that, it no longer became taboo or scary or confrontational of what they are used to in society of being wrong, to the point it wasn't anything more scary than the wind blowing through the window, on a windy day. My point is that it didn't give them a reason to have a second pause or even a first pause to make them worry. And that's kind of cool, because for individuals to get to the point psychologically to where they can be like, whatever, it's fine, for something that they can't taste, touch, see, or feel or hear, potentially, but make do with it and live with it and have even, I dare say, a relationship of cohabitating. That's pretty awesome in my book, because there's
Well,
also people that would have been like, no, we're going to burn down the house. We're going to move away. we're not coming back until this gets fixed. I've seen all mannerisms and responses of people dealing with and interpreting and experiencing paranormal for the first time. So
Well, a lot of times I found that, people that can deal with it, like you just said, like they move into a place, it's haunted, and they're like, oh well, Joe's moving, turning on the coffee pot, or moving the dishes around, or whatever. Those people, when you go to investigate, because even some of the people that call us and say, hey, can you come investigate our place? There's something going on. They're pretty cool about it. Most of them. We do have the ones that are like freaking out, don't know what's going on. Like it's I don't know. To them it's terrifying and they don't understand it. We get a lot of those, but we do get some that are just like, hey, I live in a haunted house. It's not that bad. If y'all ever want to stop by and you know check it out and kind of figure out what's going on. And I always tell them, hey, well, once we get there, we might open up more than what you want. But a lot of people, man, if you investigate them personally, they've had experiences before as a child, like they grew up in a haunted house, or even more than none. I have them telling me they used to have an imaginary friend, and sometimes that person that's in that house is the imaginary friend from when they were a child.
yep,
So, so that's why they're so calm about it, because they've already had the experience. They've already been through the scary part, the fear part. Now they realize after all this time, they realize whatever it is, it ain't hurting them. They're not waking up with a scratch. They're not being punched. They're not being shoved. You know, there's not knives being thrown across the room at them. They didn't wake up with the kitchen on fire or something, where they trying to burn the house down around them, stuff like that. They're comfortable because they don't feel like this thing is trying to torment or harm them in any kind of way, if that makes sense.
no, it does completely, 100%. So what it comes down to for all the listeners there, if I moved into a haunted house and Dalton moved into a haunted house, he would tip the realtor that sold him the haunted house some extra money to say thanks, and I would probably want to know why that person or entity was there.
Well,
So,
there's a there's a cool story that I always it's in our state. It's in a little town. Well, it used to be a little town, then it became the fastest growing town. But anyway, this retired Army Ranger and his wife, they what they did was they believed that they had found what they believed to be the perfect home in that town. And only to learn the house was mysteriously abandoned by the previous owners. Now this right here is a red flag. And I've seen the picture of the outside of the house, and it's a regular family home, single car garage home, nice looking house. But here's the red flag. So how they found out that the place was abandoned mysteriously. Now, I got questions though. Like, first of all, you're going to buy the house and then you haven't seen it yet because nobody did anything. So what they did was they walked in the house finding half-eaten food, spoiled food left in the refrigerator, in addition to the owner's belongings. Despite this, the family decides to move in anyway. Okay, red flag, folks. Red flag. If you walk into the house and it looked like those people just packed up what they had in their hand and left, all their clothes are there. The food, they said it looked like the half-eaten food. It was like they were eating during dinner time. There was pans on the stove. I mean, they took the time to shut the stove down, but there was pans with food on the stove. So they were cooking dinner, and some people were eating. So they ate half their food. There was food on the stove that was looked like it was being prepped or cooked or whatever. There was spoiled food in the refrigerator. That's like the biggest red flag sitting in front of that house that you just be like, okay, I'm out. But my first question to the realtor is, why didn't you go inside? Why wasn't this place cleaned? So they sold the house. Nobody went inside the house from the sound of it to see that all this stuff was still there until they bought it. Once they bought the house, then they went inside the house and found all this stuff in there. I mean, does that just brings up a heck of a lot of questions for me.
No, it does.
But they decide to move in. They were also expecting a child together. I guess it was supposed to be born in a few months, but within days, the wife begins to feel down whenever she's by herself. She starts to feel down about things like depression. After several paranormal sightings, one of an elderly lady and another of a cigar smoking man, the couple realizes that something is haunting their house. You think? Okay. So the guy tries reacting angrily. Don't ever do that. Don't provoke entities unless you know what you're doing. This guy tries reacting angrily at the spirits in an attempt to scare them away. You're not going to scare them away. They're going to scare you away. It's just the way it's going to be. But little does he realize that his anger is only giving them more to feed on. Now, we talked about this. We talked about fear, that they feed on fear. So try not to be scared because they're going to feed on that. And anger, what do we talk about imprinting? Anger leaves a what? A black negative cloud, right? So if they can feed off of that stuff, you're giving them the energy to feed on. So anyway, what happened was the family eventually leaves the house one night and never returns. So it's red flags like that make me scratch my head. First of all, if I got to a realtor and I said, "Ma'am, have you ever been in the house?" "Oh no, I'm not going in that house." Oh, first red flag. Well, why not? What's wrong with the house? Why won't you go inside? "Oh no, you're more than welcome to go inside, but I'm not going in there." Okay, well that's a definite giveaway. There's a haunting.
Yep.
Just a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Don't go in. But here's the thing about the paranormal. These people might have stood in front of that house, and I'll just make it very simple. Christine, remember Christine, the
Yes.
movie?
Yep.
So the kid had to have that Chrysler. Saw that old beat up Chrysler. It was old, rusted out, half junk, blah, 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 but had to have it. Had to have it. Didn't know why. That car drew him to the car, right? How do you know that the energy, the negative energy in that house didn't draw that couple in like it drew the kid into the car? So they basically were like, yeah, we don't care. It's the perfect home. We're just going to buy it. And nobody until the first day they stepped in there went in there to look to see what was in there. And then for them just to decide to move in, that's strictly an energy force taking over their minds and going, yeah, just live here anyway. You see what I'm getting at?
Yep. Yep. Well,
So
I guess that answers the big question on what me and Dalton both would do if we got a haunted home that we moved into. Some new news for everybody. We kind of touched base on it before on the last podcast. And what it is we have a website up and going now called theoryofparanormal.com. Has a little bit of information about why we do what we do, what our goal and aim is with our podcasts. And it showcases all of the podcast platforms that we are currently on. So I definitely encourage anybody and everybody to go check it out and see what is there that you can look at. One of the things also that makes things easier now for people is if you have any evidence you want us to research and take a look at, you can actually go to the website itself and submit items to us. And after you do that, we will receive those and be able to see what's what and give you a professional review and opinion. Also, something that we decided to do to be a little bit different, be a little old school, toll free in America, should anybody want to contact us and leave us a voicemail, it's 1-888-323-9742. And you can leave us a voicemail, let us know what's going on, and we can go from there. Or you could email us at info@theoryparanormal.com. Some of the podcast platforms you can hear us on is Podbeam, Pandora Radio, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Boomplay, Audible, Spotify, YouTube Music, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Player FM. Now, the reason why I said all those is because some people have their favorites. Some individuals don't really listen to podcasts that much. So those are all the different platforms you can find us on by simply typing in Theory Paranormal. 2 words. Some may appear if it's just one whole word together. So as far as it goes.
If you got a place, if you got a place you want us to investigate, also give us a call, leave us a voicemail, what city and state you're from and what you got. And maybe one day we might take a trip out there. We've done that a few different times over the years. And then we invite the people that made the call or brought us out there. We invite them. We'll do one night by ourselves. Me and Pax will do one night by ourselves, basically. And if we feel like there's not a threat, let me just put this out there. And if we feel like it's not a threat, if there's nothing dark or whatever, then we do invite the people that called. We do invite them to come investigate with us and let them get involved. Now, we've done a few that we didn't feel were very safe. Everybody's adults, and the people that called us out persisted to come join us anyway, which, really can't say no. I mean, I can, but, and it's a safety factor is all it is. If I say, or PAC says, no, we don't feel like you should come, then it's just a safety thing. Has nothing to do with really just us saying, no, don't come out here or try to find out if any of this stuff's legit. It's just a safety feature just to keep you from being in harm's way, basically. So, but, if you know of a haunted place, and even if you don't want to join in, but you know a haunted place in your area or close to your area, send us a voicemail or shoot us a text and say, hey, there's this place over here. Now, we'd have to figure out how to get in there, who owns the property, and get permission. We don't just walk in there and do it. So that takes a little time. But if it can be done, if you're not over in, Hawaii or something where there's an extensive travel, but if it can be done, we'll go investigate it. And if you don't want to show up, you just want us to come investigate it, and then on a podcast tell you what we find or whatever, we can do that. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Something else also, due to technology, another option is we could actually do a video conference and do a video tour of the property. That way we can see it that way also, live, real time. Some people have opted for that because even though travel is not an option at that moment, we can still be present, be there with you, be in real time, and give you our opinion also. So some people agree to that, which works out better for them with their personal life and whatever's going on. So the reason
that's a one-on-one deal too. That's not like we're leaving that open for 100 people to join in and watch. That would just be between us and the person that called us out there.
Yep. So the reason why me and Dalton are putting all this out there now is when we started Theory Paranormal, it was exactly the same premise of why we're still doing it, to put out our theories on the paranormal, to educate the masses, our public, locally and globally, but to express what our viewpoints and experiences are, and also impart our wisdom from doing things on a professional standpoint and giving exposure to things that you may see on TV or the radio, but you never get the full truth. And now we are here in our third season of the podcast. And that's when we decided to eventually launch the website. And now we're offering all of these methods and ways to interact with Theory of Paranormal, me and Dalton, and to give you options as the listener, to give you the power should you decide to step forward and say, hey, here's what's going on, Pax and Dalton. What do you think? What can you do about this? What is your opinion on this? This gives you the ability to have a free session with us to give you potential answers or results to something that has been affecting you. As me and Dalton said before, there's no charge for anything. It's 100% free. And we're just here to help people. That's it. So as far as it goes for this, go ahead.
No, I was going to throw it out there. And also just understand everybody's got their own deal. This group over here might have their way of thinking. This group over here has their way of thinking. We just have our own way of how we perceive things, of course, but it's our experiences. Like you said, it's our theory. That's why we say theory. We don't want to say facts. We don't want to say anything that is truth or this is the definite response to the answer that you're looking for. No, it's all paranormal is the unexplained, and it's all up in the air. Nobody knows. And if they say that they do, I don't know. Maybe they know a certain part that I don't know, but to me, it's all up in the air. It's all open. It's still a mystery, and everybody has their own ways of attacking it. That's all I'm going to say there. Because I have had some people contact me, and they're like, "Well, you're a little off on this," and I'm like, "No, I'm not even going to get into it. It's just my theory. It's my opinion from the experience that I was exposed to. This is the way that I felt. This is what happened." So just keep that in mind. If somebody, says, well, if they do have another group, then we're not knocking anybody. If they have another group and they feel like that group can take care of you, then hey, more power to them. Hopefully they're all out there trying to do what we're trying to do, and what a lot of the professionals that have been on TV, a lot of them guys are still helping people to this day behind the behind the scenes in the background. So,
yep.
But just to throw all that out there.
So as far as it goes, this is going to wrap up season 3, podcast episode 2 on haunted homes with Pax and Dalton. And as always, if you have any emails that you want to send us, info@theoryparanormal.com. You can go to theoryparanormal.com and look at the website and do submissions of any evidence you have, whether it's audio or video or photography. Or if you just want to drop us a quick message and say, hey, we do have real-time chat also, you can message us, and if me or Dalton are free, we'll be able to get back to you in that exact moment. And look out for podcast number 3 of season 3. So as we say here at Theory Paranormal, don't be afraid to ask questions.